David's Saturday AI Thoughts, Episode 16, 6th of June 2026, The Open Door. For years, I've stood in front of rooms and told them the same thing. New graduates, hiring managers by the 100, boards. The grunt work a junior used to do has moved to the machine, I say, done in seconds. The work that's left is bigger, so keep hiring young people and train them. With these tools, they can do more than any graduate before. I had never once done it myself. Until Monday. His name is Ethan, and he's working for me for his placement year. Plenty of people tell me I'm wrong. If a senior with these tools can do the work, why carry a graduate at all? It's a fair question. There are two ways to settle it: pontificate or run the experiment. I've always favoured running it. Ethan is the experiment. They have a point. And here's the awkward part. A graduate today is more capable than any before and less needed than any before. So if I hire one, can it be for the work? I think it can. I also think the gloom around the young is wrong. The headlines have them anxious and replaceable, their first job stripped of anything that mattered. I have 4 hypotheses against that, and a year to test them. The first is that a graduate is still worth their keep. Whatever the machine produces still has to be checked, edited, and owned, and plenty of that isn't worth my time. A graduate can take it on, checking the work, and judging whether the machine got the grunt right. The second is that the work is worth wanting. A graduate I read about said all he does now is manage a machine. He's right that it's the work. He's wrong that it's small. It takes judgment, and the reps that build it didn't vanish with the grunt. They moved. I manage 3 to 6 agents most days, and I like it. The third is that the work builds them, and fast. The grunt that once stood between a graduate and real responsibility has gone, so they can learn to manage years before the old path allowed. Whether a single year builds the judgment their elders took longer to acquire is what I most want to know. The fourth is about serendipity. Richard Hamming, the mathematician, told a story about office doors. The people who worked with the door closed got more done at first, but over the years tended to work on slightly the wrong problems. The ones who left it open lost time to interruption but picked up clues about what was worth doing. Helen Field, a people and transformation leader I work with, put the sharper version to me. A graduate arrives with an elastic mind, unattached to the old ways, often more fluent in these tools than the team that hired them. In a settled world, that's nice to have. In a disrupted one, it's an asset rather than a cost. I've spent 25 years learning how things are done. That's exactly what stops me seeing how they might be done differently. So, hiring Ethan is partly me keeping my own door open. He'll cost me time I could spend on the work in front of me. That is the price of not drifting and of not calcifying. I can't yet say which hypothesis is real or whether they all are. Let's find out. There's another side to this door, though. Ethan is here because his father is an old friend of mine. The front door into work has rarely been harder to open. 2 of his friends found jobs only because a parent knew someone. Another with a master's degree is in a bike shop because he didn't. The few junior places go by connection, not merit. Helen made one other point, one I'd resisted because I've been trying to think this through on logic alone. There is a moral case I shouldn't leave out. If those of us who can still open a door choose not to, the pipeline for a generation closes quietly. On our watch, so I'll say it. I'm doing this in the open. Over the year, I'll let Ethan tell you how the work feels for him, what his generation makes of it, and where he thinks I'm wrong. When I put the experiment to him, he laughed. A lot of weight on my back, he said. I'm representing everyone. No pressure, Ethan. 2 things are worth more than they look. An open door and a hypothesis you're willing to test rather than assume. I have a few firm ones about young people, and I'm about to learn whether I'm right or wrong. What are yours? And what are you doing to keep your door open and put them to the test?
Here are 3 things worth knowing this week. Number 1. The chief executive of a 350,000-person IT services firm says AI is hollowing out the middle, not the bottom. Ravi Kumar, who runs Cognizant, the listed IT services firm, told a Fortune Summit on the 1st of June that his company hired 20,000 entry-level graduates last year, and expects to hire more in 2026 with new Frontier Business Operator and Frontier Certified Engineer roles defining what AI-era work looks like. He called the job extinction talk fearmongering and argued that AI thins middle management while entry-level and leadership roles persist. It's a direct counter to the consensus that entry-level work vanishes first, including the US Bureau of Labor Statistics Data Edition 14 leaned on. Number 2. The machine is writing the code now and the gains are pooling at the top. Tobi Lütke, Shopify's founder, says 1 in 8 pull requests merged at the company are now written by River, its in-house agent, not an engineer. Anthropic's own engineers ship roughly 8 times the code per person they did before 2025. Cursor's developer report shows the spread widening. The top developers are pulling far ahead of the median, the leverage going to the few who can direct the tools well. And OpenAI's Codex has passed 5 million weekly users, with non-developer adoption growing 3 times faster than developer adoption. The grunt of writing code is moving to the machine, the output is multiplying, and the reward is concentrating in the people who know what to ask of it. Number 3. Capability is outrunning even the best forecasters. The Forecasting Research Institute asked expert forecasters and super forecasters how long a task a model would reliably finish by the end of 2026. The measure comes from Meta, an AI evaluation lab, and when the survey launched, it stood at about an hour and a half. All 3 groups put the end of 2026 figure between 3 and 4 hours. Then, while the survey was still running, a frontier model in preview reached 3 hours and 6 minutes on Meta's benchmark, already inside the range they'd picked for the end of the year. The forecast was overtaken before they'd finished making it. Matthew Prince, who runs Cloudflare, made the same miss in public this week. Bots have passed humans in web traffic for the first time, he said, years ahead of his own forecast. As recently as March, he'd put the crossover at late 2027. Much of that is scraping bots, not agents answering questions in the moment, so the figure is softer than it sounds. The direction holds. I've given myself a year to find out whether I'm right about Ethan. On this week's evidence, that's a long time to be sure of anything.
Three things to try. Number 1. Ask the AI to orient itself in your folder before you ask it anything else. Setting up a Claude co-work project for a documentary filmmaker brand new to the tool this week, the first prompt I typed wasn't about the work, it was, read the files and subfolders, write yourself a little set of instructions for future chats, write yourself a navigation guide. Claude spent a few minutes exploring, then saved itself 3 memory files, a project overview, a folder guide, and a profile of the user. Every later chat in that project started smarter because it could reread its own notes. Number 2, don't say always allow on the verbs you can't undo. In a coaching conversation this week about agent permissions, the pattern was familiar. 3 prompts in, most people click always allow on everything just to stop the interruption. The discipline is to sort the verbs first. Reading, listing, searching, leave on auto. Deleting, sending, posting, spending. Keep asking every time. Sorting the verbs first is what keeps one careless click from emptying a folder, sending an email you can't unsend, or running up a charge you didn't mean. Applies to any tool that asks for permission as it works. Number 3, talk longer on the call so the AI can work for hours after. On a client call this week, the brief changed mid-conversation. The plan we'd opened with wasn't the plan we were leaving with. I deliberately used more words than I otherwise would, narrating the bridge between the old direction and the new one. The over-explaining was really for the AI, context I was laying down for it to pick up later, once the transcript was in the project. The transcript plus go did the work. The next time you're on a call that's being transcribed, elaborate a little more than you otherwise would and narrate the why, not just the what.
What readers said. One reader, Connor, sent a line that stuck with me. The organizations that win won't have better AI. They'll have better questions. The gap between using the tools and knowing what to ask of them, he wrote, is widening faster than most leaders realize, and that is where the value is pooling. What unsettles him is how many businesses are automating before they have worked out what is actually worth keeping. Last week I asked what you can see coming over the next 5 years, and a lot of you wrote back with super thoughtful answers. I'm holding them. They belong in the What's Next piece I'm working on for a future week with Rob Wild, so Connor's is the only letter this week. Keep the predictions coming.
The community's been thinking out loud on LinkedIn too, and a thread runs straight through this week's essay. When the machine does more, what stays ours? Phil Leslie, Chief Technology and Innovation Officer at Cornerstone Research, put it most sharply. AI is a powerhouse at producing analysis, but the more it produces, the more human judgment is needed to make sense of it. Demand for that judgment is soaring, the supply is scarce. He calls it the judgment bottleneck. Julia Kenyon, a coach and former BBC global brand leader, flagged the study finding that 89% of executives report no productivity gain from AI in 3 years. The exception being teams whose managers actively champion it, a human challenge dressed as a technology one. And Kristin Luck, an investment banker in the data and insights sector, sees the market starting to price it, rewarding the firms that have operationalized AI and squeezing the generalists who haven't.
That's it for David's Saturday AI Thoughts this week. This is a faithful reading of the email edition. The full written version with all the links and sources, plus 7 bits that didn't fit, full reader letters, and full community voices is at stedman.ai. Thanks for listening.